9:20. Welcome back. And the BBC has learned this morning that David Cameron's government knew that the Post Office had ditched a secret investigation that might have helped wrongly accused postmasters prove their innocence.
The 2016 investigation trawled 17 years of records to find out how often and why cash accounts on the Horizon IT system had been tampered with remotely. Our economics correspondent, Andy Verity, has the story.
Fake digital signatures, suppressed internal reviews and a secret investigation. Evidence withheld from court, but revealed in confidential documents released through Freedom of Information and analysed by the BBC. They prove the Post Office learned 10 years ago from an internal review called Project Zebra that sub-postmasters' cash accounts could be fiddled with remotely without their knowledge, a fact that might have undone all their convictions had the Post Office admitted it. A top QC, Jonathan Swift, said the Project Zebra findings contradicted years of denials and told Post Office Chair Tim Parker in February 2016 it must be investigated. We found out that Parker hired the auditors Deloitte to trawl through every transaction on the Post Office's Horizon system going back to 1999 to work out how often remote fiddling had happened and why. Ministers in David Cameron's government knew about the investigation, including then Business Secretary Sajid Javid and Baroness Lucy Neville-Rolfe. But then, in June, after sub-postmasters started legal action, its work was suddenly stopped.
It's like whole the world crashed on your head, that's all. The government took my house. They made me bankrupt.
Senapathy Narantiran, or Naran to his friends, was given a 3-year jail sentence based on evidence from the Horizon system, and its conviction still hasn't been quashed.
Since I've been in and out, when I came out, the relationship between our family started going down the drain, and I felt it.
If Deloitte's investigation into Horizon had been completed, it might have helped falsely accused sub-postmasters like him to prove something crucial, that the evidence used to jail them, Horizon's data on the cash in their branch accounts, couldn't be relied on. I came to Ramsgate on the Kent coast to show Naran what I'd discovered.
Naran, hi.
Hi Andy, very nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
He says the police couldn't find any evidence of theft apart from the false Horizon data.
You were trying to tell them it might be the computer.
Computer, yes. Somebody is remotely accessing into the computer and do it, but they said no. The Post Office will never do such thing.
I showed Naran the Project Zebra findings from a briefing for the Post Office board.
They discovered that Fujitsu could tinker with your computer using a fake key.
That's right, yes.
Then I showed the report where the lawyers recommended the Post Office must investigate how often it happened back to 1999.
So do you think they did that work? Do you think they followed the QC's recommendations? What would be your guess?
Oh, if they would have followed it, then I wouldn't have been inside the prison.
Well, here's the thing. They did follow the recommendations.
They did.
They did. Deloitte spent 3 months, we've discovered, going back through transactions. So in March, they say we're doing the work. Deloitte's been appointed. In April, you launched your litigation, and in June, they stopped Deloitte completing the work.
Yeah. And by knowing all this, why do we waste our time in the prison and separate from the family? I don't know. Anyway, so beg your pardon. It's very hard. On your own, sitting in a room, watching at the TV or laptop. That's not life, isn't it? I'm 69 years old. Too old to go through all these things. Never mind.
What's a little unsettling is that these documents show the Post Office's own auditors were telling them in 2014 that it was possible for Fujitsu to fiddle remotely with sub-postmasters' accounts. In 2016, their lawyers told them they must investigate. They paid Deloitte to do that and told the government. But then, when they found out sub-postmasters were suing, they ditched that investigation and swept it under the carpet.
On the face of it, it discloses a conspiracy by the Post Office to pervert the course of justice. The important feature of all of this is that in 2014, it appears that the Post Office board was alive to the true position, and yet the Post Office board was responsible for maintaining and advancing the Post Office's defence to the claim in 2019. That was false.
A spokesperson for the Post Office said it was the public inquiry's role to reach conclusions on what happened. Sajid Javid was told the investigation was to look into suggestions branch accounts might have been remotely altered, not that lawyers have found they could be, as was Baroness Neville Rolfe, who was also told about the investigation being stopped. She said she looked forward to explaining her involvement at the inquiry. Tim Parker said through his lawyers he sought and acted upon legal advice he was given, and the documents don't show evidence that David Cameron was told about the investigation. The truth about what the Post Office hid from the courts and what it did tell the government is now being exposed to the light. But Naryn ended up with just £19,000 in compensation, less than a third of the cash he lost due to Horizon. He may get more, but alone and still officially branded a criminal, no amount of money could make up for the undeserved shame he and his family have wrongly been made to feel.
Never mind.
Andy Verity, BBC News, Ramsgate.